to all who peruse these pages.
The events contained within these papers may cause shock and awe.
Readers may duck beneath their covers at mentions of cannibalistic crewmates,
Peek behind their fingers lest they read of eviscerated eyeballs.
run screaming from words of deadly drownings,
or drop their books in shock at violence too vicious to describe.
Do you dare to proceed forward?
Are you ready for the shocking events contained in this very book?
Then prepare yourself to venture beyond the cover and embark upon the journey of the Aegolius.
Chapter 4, Cargo Room 3. It has been 2 hours, almost exactly, since the hole in the engine room, that breach in the steel hull, was patched. Scrap steel was riveted to the scratch in the side of the Aegolius's hull, the one which came from a stray random iceberg that the ship collided into. Coincidence. It was then sealed slightly more using cloth and anything else that might possibly waterproof or airtight to seal that breach in the hull to keep any warm air still inside the ship. In those 2 hours, the water has been bailed from the engine room. A small trickle still comes in from the sea, but nothing that a single person cannot deal with. There was a dead body in the mess hall. Dr. Ridley, what was done with that?
What did I do with it, or what was done with it in general?
You tell me. You are in charge of this narrative. What happened with that body?
I think that I probably my muscles probably went kind of weak, and the next person that sort of came down, I sort of pointed and didn't say I gave a very base explanation of what happened, and I think the body was thrown overboard.
Okay, perfect. One of the younger crew members cleaned up the mess hall, scrubbed the blood off of the wooden benches, and mopped up the steel corrugate floor. A few people had gotten off of the ship to investigate how bad the damage was from the outside, as well as to see if there was any chance of getting the ship unstuck. We're gathered now very quickly, the full crew, unless none of you want to be here, in which case we can skip that. But the shipmaster Wright, would have called for all hands in the mess hall, assembled in a similar manner to how you had 6 weeks prior before the ship had launched from Redford Harbor. She would address the remaining crew members, those who were uninjured and still present, and say, "The Aegolius is stuck in the ice. We suspect if we pull back off of it, which we are capable of doing with our remaining engines, that the hull would be breached irreparably and the ship would sink. We have food to last 8 weeks. We have used our telegram to send a single message. We're unsure if it's been heard. We will be sending more every 12 hours until we receive word back from someone nearby. But due to our northern location, I don't know how likely that will be. We have enough oil to keep the ship warm for the next week, after which point we will have to figure something else out to keep the boilers running. I would like to commend Aspen Forsteri and Bright Gallant, as well as one Miss Winthrow, for their efforts in salvaging a horrible incident with the engines. You have our thanks, and you've saved our lives. And the shipmaster will sit down at a bench. And then standing up after her is a dark-skinned woman wearing a orange set of robes. One of those keepers, Keeper Vivian. And she will stand very still in the center of the room And she will say, "It is my desire to go forth on this icy field and beseech the great deity Siltrin for guidance in this time. I would ask that some crew accompany me so that I am not lost in the darkness." And she will stand there for a few minutes in silence. A couple people cough. Sitting next to you, Aspen, is the noseless man, Bright Gallant, and he'll look at you and say, "I think she's lost it," and like shake his head. When no one volunteers, Keeper Vivian will look over to the shipmaster, who will stand up once again and say, "Cabin 5, take her out. You'll be gone no longer than 1 or 2 hours. Dress warmly and get back safely." And then she'll sit back down, as well as Keeper Vivian, who will nod and mumble something in a language none of you know. As a note, the other keeper, Keeper Devon, as you would know, Dr. Ridley, is not here. And then no one says anything for a long while. So if any of you would like to speak, now is your chance.
Not to the leadership.
A crew member with greased black hair will kind of stammer and say, "Where's the captain? Shouldn't he be the one addressing us?" And a murmur goes through the crowd, the gathered throng of crew members. "Yeah, it should be the captain. Why isn't the captain here? I haven't seen the captain in weeks. Is he alive? Did he? I bet the captain froze to death. I bet he's holed up in his room doing something nefarious." Bright Gallant leans over to you, Aspen, and says, "Inexperienced," and then shakes his head and leans back on the bench. Shipmaster Wright will stand up and say, "The captain is feeling unwell. He's taken ill weeks past and has been locked in his cabin so that it does not spread throughout the ship. Feel free to go see him if you have any questions about his remaining command," and we'll sit back down. And if none of the rest of you have anything to say, slowly crew members stand up and murmur like, "This is fucking stupid. This is a death trap. We should get the hell out of here." And then their friend turns to them and says, "Where the fuck are you gonna go? It's just ice for miles out there, you fucking idiot." And then goes, "I don't know, maybe there's a cabin or something." He goes, "We're in the middle of the Arctic Sea. You think there's a fucking cabin floating on the ice?" And he goes, "I don't fucking know. There's folk tales about, you're a fucking idiot, you know that?" And they wander out into the other room.
Those two are gonna die.
It seems a crew of 5 or so people stand up and go into, walk over to Shipmaster Wright, the members of crew cabin number 5, to argue with her about going with the Keeper Vivian. They are promptly shut down and told to stay in their lane. What are the 4 of you doing?
I want to speak to this group of people.
Yeah? How do you do that, Larkin?
I imagine, like, when we're all leaving, like, we'd all sort of probably be heading in a similar direction. I'd probably be, like, kind of coming up to folks and being like, I really think we should maybe return to our cabin and have a bit of a conversation, perhaps actually somewhere more private. If any of y'all happen to have any ideas, there's a lot to communicate to all of y'all, and I don't trust a lot of the folks on here.
I wouldn't trust any of those other idiots with my life.
Winthrop looks very confused at the "I don't trust anyone else here," but it kind of means like, "Oh, you trust me then?" It's like, sure. I'll meet you back at in the cabin.
And I'm just walking silently back to the cabin, cracking my knuckles and just like thinking about what's happening, doing some mind planning. But
Aspen's gonna fight the boat and win.
Larkin, or Dr. Ridley, sorry. I should use your proper title.
Thank you.
Were you addressing Bright Gallant as well,
No.
or were you leaving him out of this?
Just because, like, these are kind of like the ones of us who are, like, going down there and we're, like,
Yeah.
all kind of
Yeah.
in the same spot of...
Okay, perfect. In that case, he wanders off in the crew and just begins talking to a couple of, like, those two gabagool guys who were fucking talking about a cabin on the ice. He goes over and starts, like, chatting them up and, like, hey, what do you think about the captain, right? And has a hushed conversation in the corner. And the four of you walk through the bulkheads back towards your cabin number 7 and can enter in and shut the door firmly behind you. The sound of steam going through vents overhead is the only real sound, aside from the creaking of the hull of the ship. It's a quiet kind of energy because for weeks now you've been used to that hum of the engines beneath you, but now with them off, it is not eerily quiet, but much quieter.
All right, you wanted to talk to us about something? You might as well spit it out now.
Right. This voyage was supposed to bring my career back into success. It was supposed to be successful. It was supposed to be easy. It's been an absolute nightmare. The voices and the buzzing that we heard and the bodies. I watched the captain shoot one of my patients, and this.
I'm sorry. What?
The captain did what?
All right. So I had laid them down, and one of the patients started talking about blood in the water and buzzing, and I simply thought something had gone wrong with their mind. I dressed their wounds. I was trying to calm them, and then I heard it too. I heard buzzing noises. The captain came right down, told me to keep my patients quiet, and you know the rest. Something is not only wrong with this ship in the sense of being a catastrophic journey, but something is wrong on a much deeper level.
So the captain was out earlier.
The captain was out, and he was in some way the cause of some kind of a buzzing noise. And it was so like, I don't think I mentioned this to any of y'all, but when I was down there in the water those weeks ago, I heard it. I heard a lullaby, and you may not believe me, but it was clear as day. I don't know if any of y'all, I don't know, Mr. Liam, when you fell into the water, if you experienced anything similar, but there is something going on here, and I do not believe that we can trust very many people on this ship. Ms. Keeper Vivian is gone, and I reckon that is the optimal time to do something about the situation on this boat.
The weird humming, the religious figures on this ship, the captain coming out with no explanation, hasn't been seen for weeks, comes out and just shoots a screaming patient. We're stuck in an iceberg in the middle of the Arctic Circle. There's lights going on in these icebergs. Something's not right.
So you heard it too?
And I've heard that song since before we even set sail.
It's oddly comforting to know that it's not just a product of my mind. Thank you.
Those glowing icebergs, they encapsulate you. You sort of lose control of what you're thinking.
That's what caused my foot to be completely destroyed. It caught my attention for too long, and before I realized it was almost too late.
That might also be what caused our ship to crash into the icebergs a few hours ago as well.
I have a hard time understanding why any of y'all are here on any kind of expedition like this by choice. I reckon they don't usually turn out like this, but even so...
Well,
in
actually,
any case...
I mean, I don't know how to explain this.
All right.
But there are so many things in the world that we cannot explain. Now, mind you, when I decided to join this expedition, I didn't think it would be something that we would find out here.
Mm-hmm.
But I have limited knowledge of mainland weird up-and-comings. I don't know how much it'll help out here, but definitely the first step would be looking into any kind of, like, religious group. So if your plan is to go in there and find something, or if you're looking for answers, I am in.
That would be mighty helpful indeed, though why you would choose to go on any expedition like this with the knowledge you have is, quite frankly, completely outside my understanding.
Well, we're stuck here now. No use sitting around and doing nothing. We might as well do something.
Damn right, before this situation worsens itself, because I have a feeling, for all we know, those telegrams may not have been sent at all.
You think that maybe she's a part of it as well?
If she's taking orders from the captain, and these keepers here seem to be involved in some capacity, I don't think we should discount it as a possibility. I think we should act as though anyone in a high position on this boat is in on whatever this is.
Okay.
Before we decide to go anywhere, I would like to open up my duffel bag
Okay.
and grab a shotgun that
Okay.
I brought with me.
Shut
And
Whoa, Aspen, what?
ensure that my pocket knife is also on my person. And it's going to be hiding underneath my poncho, so it's not very
Absolutely.
evident.
Yeah,
But-
it sticks a little bit, but
Yeah.
nothing that anyone would blink twice at.
Well, I'm ready to go if you all are ready. Unless you want to plan, if there's any plan at all. I just want to find out what's happening here, because I don't want to die trying to find out what is out here. I'd rather be able to tell everyone the story of us being here.
The longer we wait, the higher chance we have of possibly freezing to death or worse.
They're going to be gone for a couple of hours, and most is what they said.
Not a lot of time to
So,
waste.
Do we have an idea of... I noticed during the meeting one of the keepers wasn't with them. Do we have an idea of where he might be?
They're probably in the prayer room.
The room that we're not allowed in,
Though,
Unless we're religious.
allegedly.
that announcement did claim we were not allowed in there, but on that very first day, I was told that patients should go to that room and pray for healing. So perhaps, Mr. Liam, perhaps you should go in first, just in case we are not alone in this particular room. That way, if you are caught, you can simply claim that you wanted an alternative source of healing for your ankle, ridiculous as that may be.
What, and possibly get myself killed by some religious nutjobs?
They
I mean,
told you to go
we
in
all
there.
run
They
the risk
told
right now.
patients to go on in there. We would have a better chance if you claim to have a legitimate reason for visiting than if all of us transparently broke in. Does that make sense to anyone else?
I mean, they also did say that if we just wanted to pray, we could
True.
go in. If Mr. Liam here seems to be so scared to go in by himself.
The best idea is to always have multiple plans in case one of them fails. Multiple excuses, multiple reasons. That's generally the safest way to go about things. So I think that's a good idea.
Fine. I'll be the bait, per se, go along with this plan.
I would say you're not
I-
really bait. I would say you're more of a shield, if that makes you feel any better.
A human shield is just bait under a different name.
And with that, Liam opens up the door and takes a step out into the hallway, into the crew cabin hallway. You can all follow close behind as he makes his way back to the mess hall. There's still a couple gathered crew members. There's no work to really be done right now, so they're just gathered around. Some of them have taken to drinking, smoking, the like. The smell of tobacco hits you as soon as you open that door, actually. You see, as soon as you guys walk into this mess hall, Bright Gallant catches sight of you and walk subtly, not like runs over to you, but like gets up and like says bye to the folks he's talking to and walks over towards the four of you. And he'll like kind of gesture toward, like point his head towards the wall as if, or like the nearby bench as if he wants you to sit down.
Okay.
And he'll like lean in after you've sat down and he goes, "Some of the crew are talking about not trusting the captain so much anymore, about not trusting the shipmaster so much anymore. And I don't know about the four of you, but I never trusted those fire keepers or whatever they are. So I just want to check real fast. If something happens, whose side are you going to be on?"
You're referring to the situation of, and I lower my voice, a mutiny, are you not?
That's what I'm referring to. I don't want it to come to that, but I'm afraid we're stuck with no other choice, I think.
Well, the captain's no
who's-
friend of mine, and I ain't a fan of those religious freaks.
Mm-hmm.
As a medical professional, I have a duty of care to my patients and my patients only. If something were to occur in a larger context on the ship, to, for example, someone's position of leadership, I can't say I would have anything to say about that. And I'm gonna like wink.
Okay.
I think Winthrop is just kind of like leaning back because she's like, we have somewhere we have to be right now, please.
Yeah,
With her
we're
arms
wasting
crossed.
time.
With her arms crossed, and she kind of like looks up when he's kind of going down the line, and she says, you'll have no reason to see me as an enemy.
And I think I'm just going to give like a reassuring nod towards him, just because like we have talked, or like I didn't really have anything against like what he was saying. So I feel like we both have the same vibe that this is odd, and yeah.
Okay. He'll nod firmly, and he'll stand up and pull that flask out from his inner pocket and take a long swig of it before putting it back. And he'll say, "I'm glad to hear it. I would not have enjoyed having to do anything to you. And keep an eye out for Gizmo, too. I haven't seen him. He was down in the boiler room when the fire happened. I haven't seen hide nor tail of him."
That's concerning. We'll keep an eye out.
Cheers. And he'll waltz off to another table and sit down, start clinking his flask against a couple of people's cups, and take a cigarette from the ashtray.
We should probably go to keep heading out now.
Yeah.
Yep. Continue on.
Okay. So the four of you filter into that cramped stairwell and go down a flight of stairs, not all the way down to the engine room, but down to that cargo deck, the same one that you, Liam, and Winthrow were on when you were securing the explosives. They are still moved into that other cargo room that you had found, and are of no concern for safety at the very least. You can move over to what is marked as Cargo Room 3 on the external wall. There's a chalk drawing of fires and lighthouses and eyes on the outer door, and it is closed firmly. What would you like to do?
Do you all remember when we first got here? Bright called them moths.
I suppose I do recall that. That was when we were sitting up on that deck and we saw that iceberg for the first time. Is that not wrong?
Yeah. Something just kind of clicked in my head here. The lights that we are seeing from the icebergs, could that be what's drawing them in? She kind of like looks at the others. She doesn't have like a whole thing for it. It's just an observation.
Just a little
hey guys.
connection, yeah.
Well,
Drawing.
I guess we'll find a lot of our answers behind this door.
And do you want to knock?
I'll try and open it.
Okay. The large crank twists with a metallic groan, and you can, with some effort, open the latch to the door. A familiar scent hits your nose of incense, and if you can make there's no smell check, which is a
Smell check.
that's a sin. So
Use
I'll
your
just
nose.
say, if you, specifically you, Liam, want to make a spot hidden check for me.
I will do that. 94.
Oh,
Dang.
y'all are really,
I'm blind as fuck.
y'all are cutting it close on critical fumbles. Or is that a critical? No, it's
No.
95.
It's 96
Dang
up.
it.
This is the second 94 I've rolled in this entire thing.
You're cursed.
Yikes.
Okay. Yeah, you are overwhelmed by the scent of incense. And it's fairly sweet to the nose as well, Liam. A bit more pleasant than the other times that you've smelt this sage that was burning. So maybe that's a positive note, actually, entering into this room. And as you step across the threshold through this door, you find yourself in a short room. It seems to have been partitioned in half, as if someone took a regular cargo area and put up some sort of dividing wall to separate it into a front and back section. There are cloths, or tapestries, I guess, hanging floor to ceiling across the midsection of the room. One of them is of an eye, another of a fire, and another of a lighthouse. All of them orange, and all of them, the symbols upon them, black. And it's this very finely spun cloth, almost silken. There is a couple of pillows on the ground. It's placed upon the corrugated steel floor so that if you wanted to sit or lie down, you could do so more comfortably. There is a single large, almost resembling a fire pit or some sort of open metallic oil lantern, and within it sage is burning, just a large bundle of sage, and filling the room with that smoke. And in the corner on one of those pillows is a a man with a large gash on his leg who is just lying there, almost between sleeping and being awake, and just seems to be like, you can hear him gasping a bit in his sleep and making these odd moaning sounds. What would you like to do?
Seems occupied.
I like put like a little shh up, like my fingers up to my lips, just because like it seems like this guy is sleeping. Maybe we can kind of like tiptoe around.
I might as well like sneak and see what I can find around this room.
Okay.
Kind of curious about what might be behind the partition.
Would you like to go up and look behind it?
I would like to, yes.
Are you trying to do so sneakily?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead and roll stealth for me, please.
Crappy
gonna be
die, crappy
horrible.
die, please. Low number.
Well, that's a 37, but still a fail.
Still a fail. You all see Liam poke his head through this curtain. No pomp or circumstance, no special care taken. Just the typical thought. Liam, in your own head, you think, yes, I will be quieter than normal. I won't stomp my feet, and I'll just peek through here.
Stomp.
To everyone else, they hear this clink, clink, clink of your steel-toed boots on the floor, the slight cadence to your gait as you limp over there with your cast foot, and you peek behind this curtain. To the right, there is a set of bunk rooms, similar to what you had upstairs, where it's, if you recall, you walk down that main hallway, and on the left and right were separate bunk rooms with their own separate doors.
Mm-hmm.
When you look to the right, you see a similar setup where there's seems to be two bunk rooms down here. One of the doors is locked, and one of them you can see is open. From that direction, there is some light and a smell of burning and a bit of smoke. In the main section, though, of this cordoned off area, as it were, you see there are two tall tables, wooden, with one of them is empty with stains that look like meat on it. The other has a healthy looking and sleeping sailor on it, like a crew member. They looked like it might even have been the person, you wouldn't recognize them, but the person that Dr. Ridley had escorted back upstairs, the one who had smashed their head on something and had a horrible concussion. They are lying there kind of just relaxed. They look to be cleaned, like as if someone bathed them, and they are not wearing any clothes. Additionally, in this room, there's a large golden chest with two keyholes upon it. The symbols of eyes and fire and doors and lighthouses cover its surface.
Well, this is mighty suspicious.
And you hear a door creak shut from the right, and the sound of footsteps. What would you like to do?
Shit.
And as you stand there, paralyzed by indecision, a face pops out from that hallway, Liam.
Uh-oh.
A bald man wearing orange robes, Keeper Devon. And he will say, "Those not devout are not welcome here. Please stay in the front room."
Then what's that guy doing there?
As you look at Devon, he's not looking you in the eye. He looks incredibly sweaty. He looks like his robes are not as pristine and manicured as you've seen them around the ship, by just as a note, Liam. And you point at the man lying on the table, and he'll say, "The man is holy. We cleansed his body. We healed him in the light, the holy and blessed light. You are not one who can question what we are doing here. Leave."
And
This
it's all
place.
religious babble again.
He'll smile and lick his lips when you say that. What would you like to do? The rest of you hear Devon's like growly, gravelly voice from behind that curtain where Liam is poking his head through.
Is there like another direction? Is it like a left or a right? Like, can I go the
Yeah,
opposite
there-
way
there-
that Devon is? Because he's obviously distracted.
So it's like a rectangular or a square room that's cut in half by curtains.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so you could go in on the left or on the right.
Okay.
And it seems like you hear, Devon's voice
Okay,
coming over
so
from on that right side
Can
where
I
Liam is
go
standing.
left instead since Devon is distracted
Yes,
and
yes,
I know
yes.
that?
And you're doing this sneakily.
Yes, please.
Then please go ahead and roll that stealth check.
Okay. I don't have a high. Oh, that's actually a success because that's a 15 and my score is a 20.
Wow.
That was
Excellent.
very fortunate.
Stealthy doctor.
So you walk over. Tell me what you are doing to avoid being perceived.
I take my shoes off and I'm holding them.
Okay. You take your shoes off and walk across the cold, corrugated floor, stepping on pillows here and there, and crouch when you enter through or pass through that curtain barrier. You see the same sights as what Liam saw, the gold chest, the 2 tables, the man who you recognize upon that table, breathing shallowly as if he's in deep relaxation. And then you see Keeper Devon standing on the far side of the room. You can go and crouch behind one of that chest so that he can't just look at you and see you.
Okay.
Keeper Devon will look at you, Liam, and kind of move towards you with his hands up as if he's going to make a shoo motion, and he will say, "Leave here, pest. Things behind this wall are not for your eyes to see."
Seems like that's the sound of somebody who is hiding something and doesn't exactly want it to be found out.
Are you trying to intimidate him?
Yes.
Okay, roll, please.
This is not going to go well. This is going to go like absolutely poorly.
Yes.
Oh, that was actually great.
What'd you get?
I won.
Damn!
The ultimate success.
He burns
I
right
did it.
there.
That is the
it.
ultimate
Critical
success. That's
okay.
a critical success.
He breathes heavily and takes a step back. He puts his hands down from the shooing away motion, and he'll say, "What more do you know? You've not told Vivian of this, have you? Who of the other crew told you? There was only 2 or 3 who would know. Or are you here because you would like some as well?"
What exactly are you talking about? Because the way that you're making it sound like your cohort is not in on your little secret.
No, please. I would like to keep it that way, please.
I'm gonna slowly approach him.
Yeah, he backs up now, cowering. He's not a tall man, and your frame, you're not that much taller than, but just your physical stature over him. I think even just because there's a burning heat in here and small lights, you might cast a shadow over him, and when you do so, he cowers from you, and he'll say, "Please, I am a revered man. My position is my life."
I'm gonna back him against a wall, hand near his
He,
right against the wall next to his head.
You push it against the wall in an intimidating fashion. It makes a loud bang as it echoes through the hull, and he will cower at that, and he'll say, he licks his lips 2 or 3 times, and he says, "Please, I'm just, I have sinned. I sinned.
Now, it would be a shame if the crew found out you were hiding something from everybody.
Yes.
And not everybody is in a good mood right now, considering that we're
I know.
stuck in an iceberg.
I know. You take what you want of it. I won't say a word to anyone.
I want answers.
Yes.
What's going on?
We feast on the flesh of man. It's just the 3 of us. 3 or 4. We take the dying and disables. We cook them in my chambers and eat them.
I'm going to punch him in the face.
Okay. Roll your fight brawl skill.
It's brawl, I think.
Yeah, fighting brawl. Please roll.
Oh, so that is a 25,
Holy shit.
which is
Okay.
below half. So that
Okay,
is a hard
success.
success.
You punch him square in the face. He falls to the ground. His nose is broken. He whimpers. Teeth fall out from his mouth. His legs are just shaking beneath him. He is not a large man. He is not a muscular man. He's thin and frail beneath these robes, and he falls and starts to crawl away from you, crying. And he'll say, "No, I sinned, but I atone in the light of Siltran. Do not punish me, for the gods will punish me in my death when we freeze here in the darkness. Please."
Going to kick him.
Okay, roll fighting brawl. Ridley, are you doing anything?
No, I'm fucking. I think that I'm
He's just watching me beat the shit out of
Yeah.
some like creepy, weird, crazy
Yeah,
person.
I'm hiding back here, and I think I'm like digging my nails into my palm to like stay alert and like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I am beating the hell out of this man. I rolled an 11.
Oh my god.
That's an extreme
That's an
success.
Oh my.
He like puts his hands up to plead, like puts his hands together almost in prayer and will say, "Please, oh great Siltra," and you just will kick him in the jaw and he hits the ground. He's bleeding from like under his eye and through his nose, out of his mouth, and his fingers twitch a few times and he just lays there unconscious.
I think like after like there's like his no sound of him, I think I'm gonna step up, kind of panicking, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
you took him out. You took that man out. He's all right. Fuck.
You hear a burning, crackling sound coming from one of those cabins, Liam. The sound of like a fire.
Please don't do this, Luke.
I'm going to slowly approach the area where the sound is coming from.
Ridley, you watch Liam walk over towards those cabin doors. One of them is lightly closed, the one that Keeper Devon just emerged from before he confronted you. You hear the sound of crackling coming from the other side.
I want to take this quick opportunity to check Devon's like clothes. Like, are there any keys in the pockets of his robe that might open this chest?
Yeah, this is no issue. You walk over to him and you wrangle through his mess of robes. There is a single key, gold, around his neck on a chain that you can just pull off of his neck if you'd like.
Yeah, right now I'm gonna slip it into my very deep lab coat pocket, which is underneath
Perfect.
my bigger coat.
Very
Perfect.
deep.
Not hard to
Perfect.
hide.
Liam, are you going to go through the door?
I'm going to open it ajar so I can sort of like peek inside.
You see a small circle of stones, almost like someone's made a little fire pit on the corrugate steel floor. You smell a sweet smell, the smell you might smell when walking through a harbor district, smelling all of the vendors cooking their foods. You see limbs lying on the lower beds. You see the flesh of humans. You see red scales there. You see a few cooked pieces lying in a clean tray near a table by the wall. It seems that he had made a small roasting fire to cook people. Make a sanity check.
Jesus fuck. That's a 23.
Is that an extreme success or a hard success?
I don't know. It's sanity.
Okay.
It's definitely a success.
It's definitely a success. Okay, in that case, lose 3 sanity.
Okay.
What do you do now, Liam?
I'm going to slam the door shut almost
Okay.
sickly.
Okay. Do you put the fire out?
I'll put the fire out and then
Okay.
I'll close the door. Like
you walk in and
disgusted.
stomp, eyes closed, on the fire until it's out, until you don't feel the heat or smell the smoke very much anymore, and then slam the door in disgust. And standing before you is Dr. Ridley. Winthrow, did you want to do something?
Just kind of, obviously we would have heard this stuff.
Yes.
I think
Yes, you did.
definitely as like an onlooker, kind of saw the tail end of like the hitting and like the confession, and the piece was already connected,
Mm-hmm.
but she doesn't like stop it. Like he goes back there, she kind of closes her eyes, hears everything, and then I think she just kind of looks over to Aspen. What's Aspen doing right now?
Mhm.
Like,
I think I'm going to I'm standing there dumbfounded.
Mhm.
For someone who's like very ingrained in like science and like all that, this is unnatural, and I guess I'll be saying we have been cursed. They've sinned, and this is a curse.
there are so many people in the world, and if you travel long enough, you see the worst in almost every place. I'm sorry that this was the adventure that you've come on.
I've traveled very far too, but I've never seen this before.
In that case, you were going to all the right places.
You see Liam walk back through those curtains, knuckles bloody, blood stained on his boot and cast from Devon, cinders underfoot as well, and Ridley following close behind.
At this moment, we have answers to questions, not answers that any of us would ever want to have, but now we have to do something with that knowledge. I think we should talk to the captain.
There's 2 to 3 people that is also being fed this way.
The captain is absolutely one of them. That's why that must be why. Do y'all think he has the other key? I have, and I'm gonna like pull my first coat aside. I got this. I got this one. From Devon. Do y'all think the captain has the other one?
It would be most likely that Keeper Vivian may have the other one.
You could make occult checks on this if you would like.
Sure.
To determine what its origin might be.
Oh,
that will aid you.
absolutely a failure. That's 66, and my occult skill is a 5%. So
That is a 12, which is a hard success.
Excellent. What about the rest of you?
Oh.
Would you like me to roll too?
If you want to roll, you don't need to if you don't want
I'm
to.
apparently a fucking genius when it comes to occult stuff.
you're
Hell
rolling
yeah.
so well. What the
I got a
hell?
2.
What the
So
fuck?
that's a hard,
Shit.
that's a hard
What the
success because
fuck?
I had 5 occult.
I totally failed. 42.
Okay. Winthrow and Liam, that is a religious kind of key. It like when you were children, I do not know the circumstances of your childhood, but if you ever had any association with religious practice, that is the kind of key where high-ranking members of a church would carry it and use it to unlock reliquaries and the like.
Very
So-
important.
That means that either Keeper Vivian may have it, or if the captain's been keeping more secrets than he previously let on, he might have the key. That'll give us more answers to our questions.
But didn't he say Vivian? Didn't he say Vivian didn't know? Did I understand that correctly, or was that simply was I mistaken? Is that not what he?
He mentions something along the lines of it, basically hinting at the fact that it seems that his associate, Vivian, did not know what he was up to.
But the problem there is that we don't know if that affects how their religious standing is. We understand that everything that Devin was doing was outside of the religion from what we can understand at least right now. So that mostly means that their standing order for who would have a key would remain the same. This was out here in the main room where anyone can come in and see it. It probably had nothing to do with what was happening back there.
Either way, I don't think anyone else should know about this until we get it figured out. We do not want to cause an uproar. More than it already is one. Especially with a bunch of drunken idiots.
Haven't seen how many of these people behave. I'm inclined to agree with you.
So, we leave our 4 crew members standing befuddled in the hallway outside the worship room, cargo room 3. You close the door behind you, and that sickly, sweet scent in the air disappears. And that's where this chapter ends.